Hello, you spicy bean. If you guys are new, I'm Harriet. Welcome to another TBR video. These are my favorite videos to film. I'm sure you guys have watched these videos before and know how they work, but basically I have a TBR jar full of random prompts. I pick a prompt and then I pick a book that relates to that prompt to set my monthly TBR for September. I usually pick 8 books, and to be so transparent, I suck at actually following my TBR because I'm such a mood reader, but I really like to have a TBR anyway because I think it's fun, and also it does help give me a guide of like which books I do want to read. But I would say I read half or even less than half of the books I actually set. August was a real mishmash of a month in terms of reading. I didn't really follow like a specific genre. I read some literary fiction, I read thriller, I read some fantasy, and then I read a bunch of romance as well. I will say here in Australia, in Melbourne where I live, the weather is warming up. It's so beautiful. The 1st of September is the 1st of spring, so I do want to try and have at least a few just like fun, silly little romances. Let's get started and pick prompt number 1 for book number 1. Prompt number 1 is random letter generator. I love this one so much. We're gonna hit spin and see what letter comes up. I'm so excited. I hope it's a kind of common letter because otherwise I'll be stuck with one book. Okay, the letter we got was B. So let's see if we have any book titles that start with B, and if we don't, then we'll go with author. MTKS. Okay, this one I'm gonna count. It's The Bodyguard. So it technically starts with a T, but I feel like in a lot of word games and stuff, you don't count the. So I'm gonna count this as an option. DCWU. Oh my gosh, we also have Better Than the Movies. These are both light, fluffy romances, which is exactly what I wanted. So we have 2 fun options. I'm just gonna check that there's nothing else. Okay, there's nothing else, so these are our 2 options. I actually wanted both of these on my September TBR anyway because I want to include them both in a reading vlog. So just because this one starts with an actual B, whereas this one, I feel like you could argue that it starts with a T, I am gonna pick Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I have heard so much about this book. I feel like everybody who reads it absolutely loves it. I'm not gonna lie, I started this on my Kindle like 6 months ago, and when I started it, it felt really young to me because it is a YA, and I talk about this all the time on my channel, so I'm a broken record, but I don't typically lean towards YA books because I am in my late 20s, so like I just don't necessarily relate to them. But everybody I've seen online is obsessed with this book. I'm literally yet to see a bad review of this book, so I think I need to just get into it, go in with an open mind. It's about Liz and Wes. I have not really read the back. I kind of don't want to, but it seems like it's a fun rom-com. On the back it says it's a sweet and funny love letter to romantic comedies. So Better Than the Movies is my first book. I'm actually very excited to see what the hype is all about, and I think this cover is really cute. This is a great color combo. Okay, let's pick prompt number 2. You guys can read it first as always. Book from BookTube. That's a fun one. I honestly feel like a lot of these have been mentioned on BookTube because I'm just like everybody else. When I hear a lot of people talk about a book, I need to understand the hype behind it always. So I feel like it's pretty fair game, but I just saw it. I know exactly what I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick the next book in the Magnolia Parks universe because I'm actually dying to read this. I literally just finished Daisy Hates, and the thing about this series is it's not at all what I expected, and I'm loving it a lot more than I thought that I would. I have just connected with this series so deeply. I feel really emotionally attached to these characters, and the way that Jessa Hastings writes emotions is like insane. She just really gets it. So this is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks series. This is called The Long Way Home, Magnolia Parks. The first book is called Magnolia Parks. The second book is called Daisy Hates. The series is told from a few different people's perspectives, but you kind of follow Magnolia and BJ's story, and then you follow Daisy and Christian's story, plus Daisy's brother, Julian. So you kind of get these 2 intertwining-ish friend groups, but this is the 3rd book in the series. I'm so excited to understand this book because I feel like this book breaks everybody. I can't remember if it's this book or the final book, Into the Dark, but one of them everybody's like dies over, and I just really need to understand why. So I'm excited to get to this. I was really hoping this would be on my TBR for the month. This TBR is looking so good so far. Exactly what I wanted. Okay, 3rd prompt. Let's go with the 3rd one down. Book you're excited for. Why is this TBR going so well? I'm excited for a lot of these books, to be honest. I've heard really great things about A Study in Drowning. I actually have no idea what it's about, but this is a definite option. Also, The Bodyguard. People are obsessed with this book, but I'm worried that I've picked like too many light, fluffy books. I don't know if Magnolia Parks is light and fluffy, but I'm gonna keep this as an option as well. Oh my god, no, wait. I obviously have to pick Ruthless Vows because I read Divine Rivals in my last video, which was my brat reading vlog, and I started this, but then I was like filming another reading video, so I never actually finished this book, and I need to finish this duology because the first book was a 5-star, which I was not expecting whatsoever. The first book in this duology is Divine Rivals. It follows a girl called Iris. She's got a troubled past, a lot of family shit going on, and there's also a war breaking out. She has a lot of complicated feelings about this war. So does our male main character, Roman, and they both work at this newspaper as journalists, and they're fighting for this position of editor, I believe it is, and they're rivals, which Iris is writing letters to her brother on her typewriter, and she puts them in her closet because she can't physically get the letters to him. And one day, she looks in the closet and the letters are no longer there, and who have the letters been going to? She starts to get responses, and it's just like such a great book. So I'm really excited for this one. It's gonna have a very different plot, I think, given what happened at the end of Divine Rivals. So I'm really excited for this. Okay, 4th book. We're almost halfway there. So this is the next prompt. Book with an even number of pages. That's a fun one. So I think what I'm gonna do is pick books that I want to read and see if they have even numbers of pages. I really do want to get to Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. A lot of you guys have said that I would enjoy this, and this was on a previous TBR. Did I read it? No, I did not. We'll see if this has an even number of pages. 245. Unfortunately, she's odd, so we'll put her back. I'm also keen to read The Crimson Moth, which I think is called The Heartless Hunter in the US. That's so random. But anyway, this is one of those fantasy books that's gone so viral. I've literally seen so many people read and talk about this, and I think the general consensus is people love it. So let's see if this has an even amount of, it does, 404 pages. Okay, I think we're gonna go with The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. I don't know if I said that right, I'm so sorry. Cicerelli, maybe? I have no idea what this is about. It says it's a duology, which I love because I feel like nowadays to get into fantasy, you have to be willing to commit to like 6 books, which I just can't be doing that. But let's see what this says. The only thing more treacherous than being a witch is falling in love. Our female main character's name is Rune. She's a witch, but it seems like witches get hunted, so Rune needs to hide the fact that she's a witch. And the male main character, Gideon, is a witch hunter. So that's a real enemies to lovers vibe, I'm guessing. I'm excited for this. I believe it's YA. The text is absolutely enormous. So even though it's 404 pages, I feel like it won't take me too long to get through. So this is book number 4 on my September TBR. I'm really excited for this. Except guys, I do actually have a phobia of moths. Prompt number 5. Let's go with this one. 10th book on your cart. That's fun because it's real random. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed. I have no idea where I saw this. I feel like I saw somebody leave a Goodreads review. Why do I think it was Lexi Newly Nova? I'm not sure, but I definitely saw somebody rate this, so I bought it naturally. It says, Effie has always believed in fairy tales. She's had no choice. Since childhood, she's been haunted by visions of the Fairy King. She finds solace in the pages of this book where a mortal girl falls in love with the Fairy King and then destroys him. This book is keeping her afloat, apparently keeping her sane, and the late author's family announces a contest to design his house. Effie feels like it's her destiny, but the house sucks. It seems like it's very, it's a shithole, it's crumbling. She meets a guy, Preston Helluri. They're rival students, and they basically investigate into this late author's life, house, etc. And I'm guessing that they maybe build a little romance. I didn't realize this was a fantasy. I'm excited for this. I really haven't heard much about this except for whoever I saw rate this on Goodreads. Okay, prompt number 6. I'm kind of hoping to be done with fantasy now. 7th book on your cart. We got 2 numbered ones. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan. I've never read anything by this author, but I know people seem to really love her. So it says, on paper, Sam's life is on track. She has the perfect fiance, a stable job, and has returned home to pick out a wedding venue near her family's Long Island beach house. The last person she expects to see is Wyatt, Harriet, her first love and the man who broke her heart. As their irresistible spark comes rushing back, so do the memories of long nights spent in the treehouse and of the summer that changed everything. If she's engaged during this romance, I don't know how much I'm gonna like this, but I will give it a go because I'm keen for some easy, fun reads. So this is the sixth book on my TBR for September. Okay, seventh book. I'm just gonna go for this one. It feels so scary, like you just really don't know what you're gonna get. Newest book on your shelf. So the newest book is actually Magnolia Parks because I literally got that in 2 days ago. In terms of next newest, I'm gonna need to check my Amazon because I did do an order of like 5 books, but I'm not sure what it was. So give me a second. I'm really exposing myself here, but I ordered 5 books on the 18th of August, but the top one is Indigo Ridge. So we're gonna go with this one. This is by Devney Perry. I've never read anything by Devney Perry. What really intrigued me about this book and the reason I bought it is because I heard somebody say on their TBR that this is a cross between like a mystery thriller and a romance. And I was like, how is that possible? Like, how is that going to be done well? So I'm really intrigued. Also, I'm a big mystery thriller girly and I do like romance when it's done well. So I'm really intrigued by this book. It says Winslow Covington. Oh my God, some names just get me. Sorry if your name is Winslow Covington and I just publicly roasted you, but I bet you there's like 3 of you out in the world and you're not watching this video. Anyway, Winslow Covington believes in life, liberty, and the letter of the law. Okay, alliteration. As Quincy's new chief of police, she has to prove herself to the community, and that means she has to earn favor with the Edens. But winning over the town's founding family might have been easier if not for her one-night stand with their oldest son, Griffin. Winslow is determined to avoid him, but when a woman is found dead on the Eden property, the two of them have no choice but to cross paths. As clues to the murderer lead to one of Quincy's own, Griffin realizes Winslow is more than he gave her credit for. Beautiful and intelligent, she proves hard to resist for him and the killer. I mean, that sounds fun. I'm intrigued. So this is the next book on my TBR. I'm actually so excited for this TBR. I do feel like normally some of the prompts are like book that you've been avoiding or something like that where I don't want to read it. But this month I actually want to read every single one of these books. So maybe I will. Maybe this will be the first month where I actually read my TBR. But let's do the final prompt. I want this one. Title starts with the. Okay, well obviously we have the Bodyguard, which is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Let's see if there's anything else. The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. This is the second book in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series, which I really loved the first book, but it was also fucking weird. Like, you've never read anything like these books, but such an incredible author, so funny. So we have these 2 so far, and then we also have The Night Circus, which is a fantasy about a circus, I'm guessing. We have The Women by Kristen Hanna, but I'm not really in that mood this month. We have The Whispering Dark, but I actually like can't even get this book out of the cart. So I'm gonna take that as fate telling me that I shouldn't read that book right now. We have The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, but again, I'm just not gonna lie to you guys, I'm not in a literary fiction mood. I actually usually really am, but at the moment, I just have gotten out of the biggest reading slump from this fantasy book, and so I just need like easy, fun reads right now to get me back into reading, and then we'll tackle my very long list of literary fiction books on my cart and on my shelf that I need to read, but it's just not gonna happen this month and I don't want to get into another slump. I also have The Rule Book by Sarah Adams. This is obviously another romance. So we have these 4 books, which all look really fun. I'm gonna knock off these 2 books. I'm just not really in the mood for either of these, so I'm gonna pop these back. I know I said I didn't want another fantasy, but something about The Night Circus really does intrigue me. And I think, again, Lexi Nulinova, I've been on like a binge of all of her videos, but I think I remember her saying that this was really good, but she didn't like Caraval. So I'm intrigued by this book, but then this book would fit into the video I want to film, and this is another fun, easy romance. Okay, this book sounds so fun. It says Hannah might look like a kindergarten teacher, but the truth is she's an elite bodyguard who could kill you with her bare hands. Jack's an impossibly handsome, world-famous actor who has everything, including a corgi breeding stalker. And then Jack has to head home to his family's place in Texas, but he doesn't want to tell them that he has a bodyguard, so they fake date. Oh, this has a competition. which I love a competition in a fantasy book. There's a circus, there's a competition, and there's two characters, Celia and Marco, who are two young magicians who have been trained since childhood for a deadly duel. With the lives of everyone at the Circus of Dreams at stake, they must test the very limits of imagination and of their love. Whew, that sounds good as well. I kind of want to add both of these to my TBR, but to play it safe, I think I am gonna go for The Bodyguard just because of everything I've already said. I feel like this is spring vibes. It's easy. I can literally bash through a romance. But if I end up finishing everything on my TBR, which I feel like I kind of might, and I still have extra, I do really want to read this. So I might like tentatively add this as the 9th book, but officially this is my last book on the TBR. This is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I don't think I've read any of Catherine Center's books, and I know people regard her as like up there with Abby Jimenez and Emily Henry, who are two of my favorite authors. Thing about me with romance is I need emotional depth, and I'm hoping that this book has it because of how widely loved it is. So I'm excited to finally read this. So this is my September TBR. We have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home by Jessa Hastings, Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. I'm just so excited to read that. The Crimson Moth by Kristen Ciccarelli. I'm so sorry, I need to do some research on how to say that. A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, Same Time Next Summer by Annabelle Monaghan, Indigo Ridge by Devney Perry, and The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. This is such a fun TBR. I'm so excited. There are a lot more like book talk, booktube books than I would typically reach for. Like I do like to typically have a thriller or like a literary fiction or something that I just pick from the bookstore in my TBR, but this is what's happening this month and I'm very excited because I need to not get into another reading slump. Oh my god, I've just seen that this book, The Bodyguard, has a what's this called when an author like leaves a review on the front? Emily Henry says my perfect 10 of a book, and I will literally die on the Emily Henry hill. She's incredible. That's just made me more excited. But this is the TBR. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you've read any of these books, please leave your thoughts below. I am so excited, and if there are any reading vlogs that you want to see with these books, definitely let me know. I think I'm gonna do 2 reading vlogs that I can think of that include most of these books. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I absolutely love this cozy little reading community that we're building. And I'm so grateful that you're here and that you watched this video. Love you so much. I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye.